The best time to post on Instagram has recently changed. In fact, there are 3 new best times that you need to make sure that you're posting at, and the last one that I share with you makes the most small accounts on Instagram go viral. On top of that, if you're currently using a scheduling app to schedule out your posts on Instagram, you could be making a huge mistake if you're using the wrong app, and I'm going to clear that up later in this video because this creator right here literally just made the changes that I'm going to share with you and gained over 700,000 followers. And this creator is able to do the same thing, except they gain over 500,000 followers, and the same thing could happen to you if you make sure you're posting at the right time and scheduling your posts out the right way. The first time that you need to make sure that you're posting is from 10:30 a.m. to noon. I wouldn't post any earlier than that because if you do, you might be posting when an audience isn't on Instagram, and then as a result, it's going to look to the Instagram algorithm like nobody interacted with your post, so they shouldn't put it out. And then the posts that get posted later in the day when people are actually online, guess what ends up happening? They end up pushing those posts out and prioritizing them over the posts that you're creating right now. On top of that, you want to make sure that you are not scheduling out your posts to go out on the hour or on the half hour. I know that I just said 10:30 a.m. to noon, but don't post at 10:30. Post at 10:32 or 10:35 because what ends up happening is a ton of people on Instagram are incredibly lazy. So what do? They schedule out their posts to go out at 10:30 or schedule it out to go out at 11 a.m. So during those time slots, there's a huge influx of posts, and then what ends up happening is it gets really hard to get that initial engagement because Instagram at the end of the day is all about supply and demand. If there's a ton of supply of content and not that many people online to actually show that content to, you end up getting a decreased amount of reach that you get. And I know this sounds crazy, but just a 1 or 2 minute difference could be the difference between your post going viral or your post getting no views on Instagram. In addition to that, there are 3 other things I want you to keep in mind, but first, I need you to smash that subscribe button. If you want to grow quicker on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, I literally upload a video every single day about how to grow on these platforms. In fact, I quit my full-time job with Gary Vee to help you grow on Instagram, so please, smash the subscribe button to support me. Now, one of the other important things you need to be taking into consideration is the time zone that you're in. Instagram is becoming more and more of a geo-focused app, and what this means is that if you're sitting in Nashville right now and you post, your post is first going to get shown to people in Nashville. The only exception to this is if you're sitting in Nashville but you make a post about LA, or you make a post about Florida, or you make a post about Europe, then the content is predominantly going to get shown to people that are in that area, and I'm sure you've begun to see this on Instagram. You might log on to Instagram and see something that's relevant to a store, a restaurant, or a location that you're near, even though you haven't been to that thing before. And this is exactly the way that Instagram is moving, which means that all the time slots that I share with you are going to be for your specific time zone where you are currently located, not where you were last week, not where you're going to be a month from now, where you're currently located when you're actually posting that piece of content. In addition to that, you need to make sure that you're waiting at least 1 hour in between posts on Instagram. Please do not flood the Instagram post feed or the Instagram Reels feed with posts back to back to back. Now, when it comes to stories, you can post back to back, but I also want to make sure that you're gapping your stories out, because if you post 3 stories in the morning, but then don't post in the afternoon or don't post in the evening, well, then nobody's actually going to get shown your stories later on in the day, because there are other creators that are posting to their stories, and then guess what ends up happening? Instagram prioritizes those because the more frequently you post on your story, the more frequently it's going to get pushed to be one of the first stories that somebody actually sees when they log on to Instagram, because not that many people go 15 or 20 stories deep, so if you're not consistently posting on them, they might not see your content. And the other thing I did want to share before I get into the 2 other time slots you need to be focused on is that I guarantee that one of these time slots is going to work by far the best right now. And that's exactly why I would only suggest posting 1 to 2 or at a maximum 3 times a day on Instagram, because that's all you're going to be able to get out during that time slot. But remember, you want to get 80% of your posts out during the time slot that works the best, and the other 20% out during miscellaneous time slots. Now, these posts might not do as well, but what this will do is keep you on the pulse of whether or not your audience is changing when they're online, because if it does change, it could lead to the time slot that you were using for 80% of those posts not getting as many views as the other ones, and you want to make sure that you're aware of this so that you don't have to go through the pain of all of a sudden your post doing really bad simply because you should have posted in another time slot. The second time slot that you need to make sure that you're posting in is going to be from 3 to 4 p.m. Now, before I share with you by far the best posting time slot that you can use right now in 2024, if you want to go viral, especially as a small account on Instagram, we need to talk about scheduling out your posts. And on that topic, I want to talk about how not all these apps are created equally. In fact, I would strongly suggest that you use Metricool to schedule out your posts on Instagram simply for the fact that it doesn't lead to a decrease in the amount of views that you get. There are a ton of other scheduling apps out there that could lead to a decrease in views, but that doesn't happen with Metricool. On top of that, if you log into Metricool and go to schedule out a post, they are literally going to tell you the best time to post for your specific audience, and you'll be able to see when the majority of your audience is online, which is exactly when you want to make sure that you're posting, because right now, the two metrics that matter the most on Instagram are going to be whether or not you get comments and whether or not you get shares, and posting when your audience is online is going to help you get those things. Now, if you want to grow quicker on Instagram, I strongly suggest you go to the pinned comment below and register for 30 days free access to any of Metricool's premium plans with code Robert. On top of that, if you go to plan out a post on Instagram, they can literally help you find the most popular hashtags to use in your post, and this tool right here will help you write the perfect description for your post. So what are you waiting for? If you want to have the perfect descriptions for your post, the perfect time to write your post, and you want to be able to schedule your posts out without worrying about seeing a decrease in reach, you need to go to that pinned comment below and sign up for 30 days free access to any of Metricool's premium plans with code Robert. Now, before I share that best time to post on Instagram, I did want to make sure that you understand the best hashtag strategies to be implementing, because although Metricool is going to show you the best hashtags to use, referring to individual hashtags, you're probably wondering how many you should be using or which types you should be using. So the first hashtag strategy you need to make sure that you're using is 2 to 3 hashtags. The second is 5 to 6 hashtags. The third is 11 to 12 hashtags. And then finally, 7 to 8 hashtags. Now remember, you should only be using one of those strategies per post. And similar to the posting times, hashtags are going to completely depend on your individual content that you're creating. So you might find that 2 to 3 works best, or maybe 7 to 8 works best. So I would use that strategy in 80% of your posts. The other things you want to keep in mind are: 1, I would never use small hashtags. 2, I would never use irrelevant hashtags. And 3, I would never put hashtags anywhere else besides at the end of your description. And please make sure that you're not putting hashtags in the comment section, because not only does this do nothing for Instagram, it makes you look like an idiot. And when it comes to your descriptions, you need to make sure that you're writing descriptions that are 125 to 150 words long, and there's 2 good reasons for this. 1, if somebody reads your description, your video is looping in the background, which is going to help increase the amount of replays that you're getting on Instagram, which is one of the #1 metrics that the Instagram algorithm is currently looking for. The second thing you need to take into consideration is adding emojis in and spacing your descriptions out. You don't want it to look like one huge blob of text, because all that's going to do is deter your reader from actually viewing it. Because if you could get somebody to go to your description with a really good hook, some really good text there, and then a great call to action at the end, guess what? It's going to increase the amount of followers that you get for every 100 views that you get. On top of that, I would strongly suggest that you stick to a call to action at the end of your description that is going to get your viewer to do one of 2 things. Either 1, you want to get them to follow you, or 2, you want to get them to share that piece of content, because for every 1 share that you get on Instagram right now, it typically equates to 400 more views on that post. So if you could get 10 people to share, you automatically get 4,000 views. And if you get 1,000 people to share, that could equate to over 400,000 views on Instagram. In fact, if you look at the most viewed posts on Instagram right now on your Instagram Reels feed, I bet they're the posts that didn't get the most likes, didn't get the most saves. Instead, they got the most shares. And the reason for this is because the Instagram algorithm is currently really targeting posts that are getting people to share content, because it gets people to come back into the Instagram app, and ultimately Instagram makes more money the more time people spend on Instagram. So if you can help Instagram do that by getting more people back onto the app, they're going to push out your content even further. Which brings me to by far the best time slot to be posting in right now, which is going to be from 7 to 9 p.m. Creators that post in this time slot on average get more engagement, get more followers, and they wake up every morning to a great surprise, which is that their videos got more views than they typically get. And the same thing can happen to you if you start getting a lot of your posts out during this 7 to 9 p.m. time slot. But I will warn you, there are 3 other golden rules when it comes to the Instagram algorithm right now in 2024. And if you're not paying attention to them, you're going to be at a huge disadvantage, which is exactly why I'd strongly suggest you check out this video right here that shows you exactly how the Instagram algorithm works. I'll see you over there.